As we head towards the end of 2023, the rest of the year is crammed with big game releases like Mario and Spider-Man. In the midst of this, having just released quietly, Cocoon is an exciting new indie game by developer Jeppe Carlsen, creator of indie hits Inside and Limbo. And this is also the debut game of new studio Geometric Interactive. Going in with no expectations at all, Cocoon absolutely blew me away in every sense. This is a beautiful, intricate, complex, and brain-melting puzzle game of the highest caliber, and will no doubt be one of those indie games talked about for years to come once word of mouth builds. Considering this year's crowded release schedule filled with massive games, it's important to cleanse your palate from time to time with a short but well-built indie game between epic AAA adventures. In this review, I'll convince you to give Cocoon a shot, whether you're versed in indie puzzlers or not. So, let's get into it! With next to no setup, Cocoon puts you in the role of a small cicada-like creature on a desolate world. The game provides absolutely no instruction on what to do, and utilizes only the control stick and a single button input, so it's up to you to figure out what to do. While it sounds overwhelming at first, you'll quickly figure out that this game is equal parts exploration and puzzle solving, the crux of the latter depending on picking up and putting down colored orbs on designated platforms. However, it is definitely not that simple. Each orb is actually an entire self-contained universe, and by placing it on a special platform that reflects its insides in a shallow pool, our little bug is capable of shrinking down and entering it. Not only that, our little guy will carry worlds into worlds, pick up worlds within worlds, carry them great distances, and re-separate worlds within worlds. Still keeping up? While it sounds confusing, the transition between worlds is handled deftly with clever visual language, ensuring this part of gameplay is not as confusing as it sounds. But what you might get confused by is puzzles themselves, as each orb and world has its own power when being held or carried. For example, the orange one can make invisible bridges materialize, and the green one is capable of activating elevators. Let's say you see an elevator on the other side of a valley. To progress, you may have to put the green orb/world inside the orange world, and carry the orange world across a materialized bridge, separate the green and orange world on the other side, and then hold the green world to ride the elevator. It requires logical thinking of a different kind, one I've not experienced in puzzle games before, as it is built around this insane but profoundly clever concept. It's a slow build to really get going, but once it does, boy does it get going. Learning how to play the game is akin to learning a language, figuring out how the different orbs and environmental objects interact with each other, and how to interact with them in just the right way to solve the puzzle and allow you to progress. Despite how head-scratchingly brutal some of these puzzles are, it never feels unfair. While it looks like an open-world game, it absolutely is not. Areas you previously visited are discreetly closed off when they are no longer required to be visited, meaning you won't unnecessarily backtrack trying to find a solution. It gives the appearance of an open world adventure, but cleverly guides you along the right path. It keeps each puzzle self-contained, while still making it feel like you're exploring on your own. Puzzles aside, exploration is also a key part of the game. Each world is distinctly different visually from the others, meaning your surroundings are constantly changing in the blink of an eye as you walk between them. It never gets overstimulating and remains engaging throughout. In the world, you'll encounter a variety of trippy interdimensional bug-like creatures, giving Cocoon a bizarre, otherworldly atmosphere unlike anything I've ever seen before, accompanied by ambient, droning atmospheric music which swells to a crescendo when you've solved a puzzle correctly. It's a hauntingly beautiful experience, and stands as one of the most unique environments and soundscapes in recent memory. While orb puzzles and exploration are where Cocoon fires on all cylinders, there are a few moments which break the pacing, being the only low notes of a near-perfect game. The first of these are combination puzzles, in which you're forced to search for a 5-button code hidden in the nearby environment. This means you have to remember 5 strange symbols in order while you input them, which is a bit taxing mentally as these are not letters or numbers. Similarly, the switches themselves are small and don't contrast well with surrounding textures, making it more cumbersome than it needs to be. Similarly, boss battles don't always stick the landing either. That's right, there are boss battles. While each boss itself is a mini puzzle to find its weakness, attacking them is usually contingent on timing, something you don't have an opportunity to practice outside of boss battles themselves. It means it's all too easy to slip up, forcing you to start them from the beginning as you only get 1 hit point. Each boss will take a few attempts, and it feels more like a relief to get past them and back to exploration, rather than a victory or achievement. And while I felt the ending was a little abrupt and bizarre, it's one I'll continue to think about for quite some time. While there's not much story to think about here, narratively the game works on an emotional level, and you'll grow to love this world and main character. When the ending hits you, it'll have you mulling over the consequences of your journey and what you've done, similar to a lot of indie hits like Braid or Undertale. Coming in at about 5 hours, it straddles the line between being short and sweet, while simultaneously leaving you longing for more. There are no collectibles to seek out, meaning once it's over, it's well and truly over. I can see myself replaying it every few years when I want that nice little palate cleansing experience between big budget games. And just on a technical note, I played the version on my launch model Switch, and there were some technical hiccups here and there. Towards the end of the game, as it gets more technically complex, there were times the frame rate slowed to a sludgy crawl before crashing on me twice. Considering it requires fast load times between warping in and out of worlds, the rapid pace in which you'll do it towards the end is too much for the creaky Switch to handle. If you've got a more powerful console, I'd go for that version, ensuring your experience is as smooth and responsive as possible. On Switch, it's still perfectly enjoyable and playable, but it is certainly not the best piece of hardware for it. To conclude, Cocoon is a near-perfect indie masterpiece with a few flaws here and there. Solving these puzzles makes you feel like you're the smartest person in the world, having mastered the increasingly complex visual and logical languages the game teaches you over its 5-hour length. The last time I felt this high from puzzle solving was Tears of the Kingdom's Shrines earlier this year, and the last time I felt a puzzle game used visual language this well was way back in 2016, with another indie masterpiece, The Witness. Cocoon will most likely be chosen as the #1 indie game on year-end top 10 lists, a choice I wholeheartedly agree with. Whether or not you play indies or puzzle games, it's well worth seeking Cocoon out to experience the true power of creativity in the gaming medium. So, have you played Cocoon? What's your favourite indie or puzzle game? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments down below. For more game reviews, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.